Hello everybody, I'm back with another movie review just out of nowhere because of a new release that came out. Not a new movie, but just a release for one that hadn't been available for a while. This is for Near Dark from 1987. So this was written and directed by none other than Catherine Bigelow, who would later be known for such films as Point Break and Strange Days, which I highly recommend. Strange Days. I mean, it has Voldemort and T'Challa's mother in it. And she also did K-19 The Widowmaker and several more over the years. She's definitely made quite a name for herself over like 35, 40 years worth of filmmaking. This is starring Adrian Pasdar, who you may know from Heroes and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., as well as like half the cast of Aliens is in this. We have Jeanette Goldstein and Lance Henriksen. And it even has the man, the myth, the legend himself, not to be confused with Pullman. Yes, Bill Paxton. Yep, it has Hicks from Aliens in it.
Hudson, sir. He's Hicks.
Even in fiction, people get his name mixed up. But yeah, he serves for much of the comedy that kind of creeps into the story here and there. So on to my usual, official synopsis states. A small-town farmer's son reluctantly joins a traveling group of vampires as he's bitten by a beautiful drifter. Okay, that's a synopsis. I mean, that's what it has on IMDB, but I think I could probably formulate a better one. But for now, I'm just going to give some more detail. So yes, it's a farmer's son, farmer played by Tim Thomerson, who was just in one of my previous reviews for Trancers. And, be sure to check out that review, of that cinematic masterpiece that it is. Anyway, so this main character, Caleb, is out for a lazy night on town. I mean, there's not much going on in this small town where he lives when a, beautiful drifter, played by Jenny Wright, comes away of our main character and his friends, and they're immediately drawn to her. So, he isn't necessarily the smoothest of guys, but since there are some nefarious activities happening with this woman, she succumbs. Well, not really that she succumbs to his charms more than, she was the bait, basically. She's a vampire. She's a bit thirsty, so let's just say that. And so technically, yes, he succumbs. And he's only really tipped off that something isn't quite right through some conversation that they're having late at night. And then, of course, a little bit further into that conversation, she has this bit of a panic when she realizes that sun is going to be coming up soon. So needless to say, during this encounter with her, she had bit him, but didn't really drain him dry. So now he's turning into a vampire and needs to be, taken care of by her and her coven of drifter vampires, as they make their way across America's heartland. So in this coven is where we have those characters played by Lance Henriksen, Jeanette Goldstein, Bill Paxton, as well as one of the younger members, Joshua John Miller, who was playing a character that was just a kid when he was turned. So he looks young, but of course he's much older. And they're all pretty up there in age, but it's Lance Henriksen's character, Jesse, who has a nice classic line from this when he's asked how old he is, and his response is just that, he fought for the South, and they lost. So that kind of sets his place and time with this. So while he's on the run with this group, adjusting to this new life, or technically death since he's a vampire, from his father's point of view and his little sister's point of view, he's just missing. They don't know where he is. So they're out looking for him during all of this, and their paths do eventually cross. And of course, on this run, we have some great violence and action, a little dash of humor on top, while he works his way through either going to be on the run with them and just part of this coven, or if he's going to find a way to try to come back home and maybe see if there's a way to be cured from this vampirism. But yeah, I guess maybe I'm not able to write a better synopsis because I just kind of ran on and on just then. But anyway, some overall thoughts about the film. The visuals, the way that they light their nighttime shots, as well as bringing in dawn, day, and dusk, it really helps to give a sense of urgency for the vampires, as well as, sense of safety for the humans in it, knowing that they'll be safe during those daylight hours. So it really helps with kind of as they transition through time, throughout, the days or weeks that this takes place. The acting, everybody does a great job. Everything's fine, whether it's a seasoned professional who's been in the business a long time or some of the younger cast members or ones that are just, less experienced. The soundtrack, it's Tangerine Dream. So I don't really know what else to say about that. I mean, think of Legend, 3 O'Clock High, Risky Business, this droning synthesizer sound that's kind of guiding you along in this film and tying it together really well. The pace moves a little bit slow, especially at the beginning as the mystery's unfolding about who this woman is and what did she do to him and what's his vampire stuff happening. So it's not really slow, but it does have a little bit of a slow burn for that first 15 minutes. And then it works in well at, it just doesn't rush anything after that. Now, the vampire lore in this is always something I find interesting in any vampire film, is what vampire rules are they going to follow, and are they going to make up any new ones for this? Out of those rules, are some things going to be more extreme than the others? So, because they don't all follow the same rules. But this one has some of the usual stuff. If you get staked in the heart, it'll probably kill them. But, being bitten and turned into one, sunlight burning them, aging either very slow or not really aging at all. But this one also has this idea of treating vampirism kind of like a virus, like a blood disease, which you might be able to be, cured from if you're not able to adjust to. So it's interesting. One of the things that I liked about their use of sunlight in this is that it's not quite as severely dangerous and borderline instant death as I've seen in some other vampire films. So, if this one, in this one, if you're a vampire and you go into the sunlight, you're going to get hot, you're going to start smoke, you're going to burn, and you'll blow up. It's quickly, but not that quickly. It's not going to happen in the course of like a few seconds. It might take a minute or two for things to really go to town on you. So think, you can run outside with like a coat over your head and you'll be smoking and catching on fire, but you can rush from one place to another if there was an emergency. So think closer to a Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of reaction to sunlight. Less, more of that, less of like the Anne Rice or From Dusk Till Dawn kind of instant death from sunlight. But for the overall feel of this, it's another one that I kind of referred to as like a late night film. I think it really works best late at night when, everyone, including most of the world, is asleep. You can kind of feel a little bit more secluded and cut off and kind of on run like those characters, if that makes any sense. I put movies like The Crow and Dread and that German-Canadian TV show Lex kind of in that same boat as like best to watch that kind of, solo late at night. Other than that, they do a really good job of giving you a sense of that travel while they're on the run, how much time is passing, and what the ultimate goal is for this protagonist, which is to either adapt to what's going on in this new purpose or seek a cure and try to return home. Now, for the release, I don't really recall this getting much attention when it was first released, but then again, I was 12 and there's no internet, so what would I remember anyways? But what I really think is great is seeing how over the decades, this movie's kind of gained a bit of a following, not just in the horror community either, but it kind of transcends that pure horror attraction, as many great, horror films do when they could pull others into it. This one has a lot of drama worked in, so it pulls people in that may not be as familiar with horror, but anyways, definitely recommending this one. So like in my previous review for Vicious Fun, I'm going to give this one a similar rating of an A, but a minus, just an A- there. Not that this is any less of a movie than that. They're just completely incomparable. They're very different kinds of films. The minus is only because there's only maybe a couple small negative things that I could even, think to mention in this. There's stuff about the main character's sister and father, which they don't really go into as much as I would like. I would like to see a little bit more about his home life in there. There's some questionable stuff about, medicine and biology that probably doesn't match up, but it's horror. It's, not real anyways. And that last 15 minutes or so of the movie did wrap up kind of quick, like that was the only point where the pacing got a little bit off and it kind of threw you into that ending a little bit. But that's so little to have any issue with. Everything else makes up, more than enough for that. So I definitely consider this one a must-watch in my opinion if you're a fan of any of the actors who are in it, if you're a fan of horror in general, or even if you're just a fan of vampires, even those sparkly ones. I think you'll definitely have a good time with this film. As of this post, it's available on Shudder. It just dropped on streaming there, I think for the first time ever perhaps, or at least first time in a long time. There's also a new release Blu-ray coming out soon. The current release I think it's been on moratorium for a while. It goes for like anywhere from $45 to $70, but there's a new one coming out. I believe they're also doing a 4K transfer of that as well. It's something that's kind of been hinted at or announced in a couple of publications. But yeah, so it's available on Shudder, which, you know, they should really sponsor me at this point. I mention Shudder a lot. And the thing is, if they were to sponsor me, they could possibly have the reach of 20 to 30 viewers. That's a lot of stuff to think on. Anyways, yeah, that's all I got. A-, worth checking out. I think you'll enjoy it. And as usual, be sure to like and subscribe and share this wherever you can and all that fun stuff. Also, check the description in this video because I'm going to put some other information in there and some other links that you may find useful. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.